we saw a Sasquatch or a being take two steps. The government has been doing gene splicing and creating animal and human hybrids. When you go out looking for them, there are things that can follow you back. I've had them growl at my bedroom window. I've had them tap on the window. The nuclear DNA that comes from the father came back as unknown. Nothing that's ever been on record anywhere, any place, anytime.
We are here with Laurie Sullivan, who's been a field researcher studying the paranormal for about the past 10 years, and she just recently became the Northern Michigan researcher for the North American Dogman Project. Laurie, how are you today?
I am doing good.
Good.
Thank you.
We are going to talk about some of your experiences and some of the things that you've kind of learned along the way with the paranormal. Where's a good place to start? I know you wanted to talk about an experience that you had in 1998. Is that where you would like to start?
Yeah, that would be a great place to start.
All right, go for it.
So my younger sister had kidney stones, and I had to rush her to the hospital. We didn't wind up coming back until about 3 in the morning. When we got on the road, that's like a shoddy side road that leads to our private road. We saw a Sasquatch or a being take two steps, and it was completely across the road to the other side. With two steps was all it took. And this thing had to be, I would say, about 7 to 8 feet tall. Um, what was weird about it is it had this really long, almost groomed looking hair, brown hair with like silver tip. You could see muscle on top of muscle, and the head was like adjacent with the shoulders. The head was like set really low. So that was my first um, experience with a cryptid.
How tall would you say he was?
About 7 to 8 feet.
Was this at night or during the day?
This was at night. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. Okay, and he just kind of walked across the road?
He just walked across the road
Was that
like
like in
he didn't
front of
even hear we
you,
were.
or was that like,
Yes,
okay, so you just
I
you
had
like
to
kind of,
stop my car.
right.
I had to stop my car. He didn't even look at me. He didn't even look at us. It was like I got someplace to be.
Wow. And did you follow him? Oh, never mind. I forgot
Oh my
your
goodness.
sister had to
My
get their
sister,
kidney stone. That probably would have been more important. Yeah.
my sister and I looked at each other, and I drove, I drove probably 90 all the way to the house, and I didn't park in the driveway. I parked in front of the porch so that there was a very short distance between me and the
Okay, so it's
door.
safe to say that you
So,
guys were like freaked out more than anything, right?
yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Why do you think? Sorry, I'm going to throw some extra questions in here. Why do you think we as a human species get so freaked out about these things that we don't know of? Could be there, but I mean, I understand why,
You
but
know,
do
I
you
think
have a good reason for that?
I think it's part of the human condition to want to know things
Yeah,
and the need to rationalize.
that's true.
And I think that there's a lot of people out there that are curious that may not admit being curious. But I really do believe that it's just something that we do as humans. We want information. I mean, that's why we have cell phones and computers and you name it.
Yeah.
So I just think it's something people want to know. But as far as the fear aspect of it, I think that well, I know that fear is also very intriguing in a way. When you fear something, then you're going to do one of two things. You're going to want to know more about it, which a lot of people do,
Right.
or you're going to stay as far away as you can from it, but still sort of like pay attention.
Yeah, you are right, because
So,
there's like two different kinds of groups of people, right? And you have the ones that do like want to find out more information about it, so they'll be less afraid, right? And they'll understand it more.
yes,
And then there's the people that are just like, no, I ain't fucking going in those woods like ever again, kind of thing. But
absolutely. Yes.
all right,
There's a lot of hunters have had experiences, and there's a lot of them that refuse to ever go back, and it ruined their hunting experience for them, and and it's sad because it was something for a lot of these people that they were like very gung ho about every year. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And it just and they were like, nope, not doing it.
yeah. You know, I heard something one time. I want to get your opinion on this because it was kind of like a joke by some. I think I might have read it on Reddit or something like that. But somebody said that the reason why Canada and the U.S. like they were specifically talking about Bigfoot in the northwest area of the United States, where there's always been kind of a lot of sightings. But they said that the reason why the Canada and the U.S. like doesn't acknowledge them is because if they did, there would be so little of that creature that it would be on an endangered species list at that point, and then they wouldn't be able to go in and start deforestation or things like that when they'd want to, because technically, when you have an endangered species like that, you're not supposed to go in and take down its habitat. So it's kind of an interesting thing where they were making a joke out of it, but if it actually kind of made sense to me, it's like, well, that doesn't really sound too far beyond the norm to me.
Right.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, can you tell us if there is at all? I don't know if there is, but we're kind of newbies at this. So can you tell us the difference between a Sasquatch and a Bigfoot, or is there no difference?
Sasquatch and Bigfoot are the same thing.
Okay, so is it just like
They're also called Sabe,
okay,
Sabe.
it's just depending on the
That's
region, kind of thing?
yes.
Okay.
In places like Alaska, um, in Canada, in certain parts of Canada, they're very, very familiar with them, and that's what they call them. They call them Sabe.
And
And they
oh,
believe it, and it's a lot of them are indigenous people,
right,
and
yeah,
they believe it's a respectful thing to do instead of calling it Sasquatch.
I got you. Is Sasquatch is that just like a bad term in some kind of native language, or don't we really know?
I don't know. I just think that it's something that's gone through generation after generation, and
I
something
got
that's
you.
been taught, and the
Brandon,
whys of it, I
Brandon,
don't
wouldn't
know.
you rather be called Sasquatch than Bigfoot,
I
Brandon?
like Sasquatch. I think that's good.
Yeah. We
I'm
just don't want
wondering,
people thinking that you got a big foot.
yeah, I mean, maybe like Smallfoot be good.
Yeah.
Um, I was thinking about in Canada, and you mentioned Alaska. Because I've heard a term like Yeti. Is that related to this at all, or is that something completely different?
No, Yeti is, and like you were saying, Matt, it does have to do with the region you're in. Like, um, Australia has, I can't remember what they call it, but Australia has a different name for it. Um, Canada, um, even in the United States, there's certain states that have different names. Like if you go further south, they call them things like they call them boogers.
Oh, got a lot of
Yeah.
those. Yeah.
And they have a few different names for them further south. So,
I have here on my Google, it says that in Australia they call them the Yowie.
yes. Yep.
So,
Yowie.
which is already my
I was
favorite
going to say
term.
Yagwe.
Yeah. And I can't do an Australian accent, but I feel like if I heard somebody say that in an Australian accent, I'd be like their best friend for life, probably. But all right. So we know that Sasquatch and Bigfoot, and I mean they're all the same. They're just using different terms, and they're all cryptids, right? I mean, would that be what we would classify them as?
Yes.
Okay. And you had talked about the Native Americans and things like that, and the people that have all these traditions and legends that have passed down and stuff. I know there's a lot of cryptids or a lot of paranormal stuff within these different tribes. Have you gotten into any of that? Have you like researched any of that at all, or no?
I've done a little bit of research, but my goal is to actually speak with an elder. But the only problem with that is you have to be someone that they really respect and know for them to delve into things like that with you.
Yeah.
And I haven't had that opportunity, but that's like on my bucket list. That's something I want to do at some
Wouldn't you have
point.
to like smoke some peyote and go on a spiritual journey as well?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's
You
all
got to
go.
lick the
Let's all
toad.
go there. Okay.
You got to lick the toad,
Yeah.
Matt.
That was going
The
to be
South
one of
American
Matt's.
one? That one that
yeah,
really
that was
that
going to
really
be one of Matt's conditions for doing the podcast was having to go through one of those peyote journeys with
Yeah.
him. But
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
yeah,
anything that gets you out of the reel for a minute.
yeah.
All right,
But before we
let's
go,
Okay,
if I
sorry, go
can,
ahead,
'cause
Brandon. Yeah.
yeah, I just had a quick question because I know we'd already kind of launched into this, but I'm just wondering if you can give like what like a top level because I was thinking to myself like what even is a cryptid when we say this word and because I know like what the there's things in nature like there's animals that maybe we're just now discovering or things that we know exist, but we only see them like once every 10 years. It's kind of hard to see them. Maybe it's like a frog or a cricket or something. So like, what's the difference between something like that for some reason we're not calling it a cryptid and then something like Bigfoot or Sasquatch or one of these other types of cryptids? Like, what do you see as the difference or like what is a cryptid to you?
Because okay, so a cryptid is usually a hominid being. It's humanoid. It usually has well, with dogmen, there's several different types, and they have the three types that have feet like people, and then they have the other four types that have haunches. And cryptids would be considered anything that is hominid. This is what I think. Anything that's hominid in some way, shape, or form, but also has an animal aspect to it, whether it's the head or arms or whatever.
It was like
I
mixed
see.
So
DNA,
that's
like human DNA and animal DNA kind of thing.
yeah, I believe that there has been a lot of government uh they definitely have their hands in this.
I was gonna.
That's for
I'm
sure.
glad you actually said something like this because the next question I was going to be is how do you think these came to be? And I was going to ask you at first if these are like God's creatures, but it sounds like you're saying that it might not be that. It's more of like some kind of I don't know MK Ultra shit going on or something, right? With the government. Like, what do you think of how these beings came to be?
Well, I believe personally that some of them were spoken of in the Bible, where the fallen angels had relations with human women,
Right.
and
Yeah.
the women gave birth to what they called the Nephilim, and they called them giants from legends of old, men of renown. And it didn't go into great detail about like they had dogs' heads or this or that or the other thing as far as that goes. But we do see in ancient hieroglyphs we see like I believe it's called Senocephale, where it's these stories painted on the walls where they're people with dog heads and they're bartering with the people,
Okay.
and so they were known back then, and I believe that those are, like I said, the Nephilim.
Okay.
Then I also believe that the government has been doing gene splicing and creating animal and human hybrids. And I believe that that's why, being that there's seven different types of dogmen, I believe that that's why three of the types have feet like people, and then the other four have the haunches. I think that's sort of what separates where they originate.
Well, that's great. We're going to get into the dogmen because I'm already fascinated in this feet business. Um,
Yeah.
I do want to say that now I thought one of the reasons I don't really know why we're getting into the religious aspect of it, but let me just throw this out there. I did think that one of the reasons why the flood happened was because that there was some interbreeding there between um so were they not all washed out by then, like with the flood, or do you think that has anything to do with it, or would you agree to say that was one of the reasons why he had the flood happen?
Yes, I absolutely 100% believe that's why he had the flood happen. But you have to remember those fallen angels didn't go away.
Right, right.
So
You
they
still think they were sneaking
afterwards
down and having some fun
they
with the
came back.
humans? Yeah.
They came back. And
That
the
might be
Bible
better
does
than
say
peyote, by the way, Brandon. Having sex with some kind of demon or angel. I don't know. Apparently, it's a
scripture does
demon,
say
right?
that
Would this be more of a demon thing then? Because it's a fallen angel, you're saying? So
demonic.
yeah, so I
Yes.
guess it wouldn't be good, but yeah. All right. All
Should
right.
should we like? I'm thinking about this. Should we think of cryptids in because I know people have different feelings when they think about seeing, like, if I'm in the woods by myself or I hear something, or if I think I saw Bigfoot, I know that I'm going to get a very like eerie feeling in myself. I think most people feel that way. But I don't know if that's just fear of the unknown, or if there's something about cryptids. So is there something evil about cryptids, or is this just
The
sort of
lore.
how people feel? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, how should we think of cryptids in terms of yeah,
Should we
like their
be scared?
goodness or their
Should we be
evilness.
scared, Lori?
Yeah.
Um,
Or does it depend?
should you wouldn't even come into play because you would be.
Right.
But I do understand what you're asking.
Yeah.
Some of them are evil. Some of them are docile, I guess is the word I would use. But there have been many, many, many people that have had experiences where they would say a prayer and this thing would just leave.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
So it's almost like
and then
the devil's work kind of thing. Like they're
right,
yeah.
but then there are others where people have actually claimed to form relationships with them.
Mm. Like the show Beauty and the Beast.
Maybe not
Right.
exactly like that, but
Yeah, I get you.
you see
Yeah.
where I'm going with this.
Right. Right.
Have you ever had what you would consider a good experience with a cryptid or a sighting or a feeling, or like how do you
Yes,
personally feel most of the time?
I I personally I personally have an addiction to the adrenaline I get going out alone by myself to try to get pictures of these things. But if there are, like I said, there are some that are evil in nature. I really believe that. And I do believe that when you go out looking for them, there are things that can follow you back. Um, I believe um, that there's because of every there's so much happening all over the world right now, and I believe that we have portals opening everywhere. And in one of my pictures, I actually have a picture of some doorways that I captured, and I believe those to be portals. And I believe that that's one of the reasons why I've gotten so many pictures of them.
Do you think that because you're more open to that, like you're a believer and you're open to that they're more likely to be seen by you, like that they know that? Do they sense that kind of thing? do you think? Or
Yes, yes,
okay.
absolutely, yeah.
All right. And so from your first experience in 98 of seeing this thing walk across the road to nearly 30 years later, you're definitely at a better understanding and you're probably not as scared, right?
Well, I fear them in,
Like
I
respectably
guess
kind
it's
of thing.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Um, yeah, I would, that's how I would put it. I respectively fear them.
Okay.
And, yeah.
All right. Brandon, any more questions about the Sasquatch, Bigfoot? What was it in Australia? The Yowie? The
Well,
Yowie.
Yeah.
I think I have a lot of questions, but another one that I keep thinking about is like, where are these things? Like, do they? Because I've always wondered this.
Where are
Like,
they
where are
hiding
we?
kind of thing?
Yeah,
Or
why aren't we seeing Bigfoot?
okay, I
Is there
got you.
like, are they like dimensional, or is that why
Yes.
we're really? Is that the primary reason? Do you think? I'll let you talk on that.
Most of them are interdimensional, yes.
Okay.
If it possibly all of them. And I do believe that the government can also create something that is interdimensional. I mean, they have the D-Wave computer, and that I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but that computer can um, can break into like other dimensions.
That's interesting. You're adding a
I
Yeah.
whole
believe
new
that's it.
things
I
here.
believe it's the D-Wave. I believe it's
Anyway.
the D-Wave computer. I watched a TED Talks on it some years ago, so
The D wave. I thought that's what they called it when all the guys returned from World War II. The D wave, and then the baby boomers were born. All right. Um,
Yeah. Well, and real quick, so if there's like an average, I say average, but I don't know what you'd call it, like Harry Potter calls them muggles, but like somebody who doesn't normally have contact with these kind of like the cryptids, the supernatural, and they go out looking for it, and or let's say a group of scientists go out and they say, well, I went through these woods and I didn't see anything, and so but there is a channeling nature. Like as you said, you're one of these people where you have this nature about you where you've been in tune with these things, so you are able to sort of um I don't know how to say it, like manifest some sort of contact with these things more often than the average person would, right?
yeah, and that's something that I stay prayed up because that's something that um, you can you can fall into a dark place if you are constantly seeking these things out and trying to make contact and speak with them and things like that. You can fall into a really dark place. Um, Earlier, I think it was Brandon, you had asked a question about about what happens when there's when around. You're like out in the woods and there's one around where everything goes silent. And now the wind even stops. And we do know that everything goes quiet when there's a predator in the area. But with the wind stopping on top of it, that's a little more than, you know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
like there's a predator in the area, you know what I'm saying?
right.
Like,
Somebody call Chris Matthews. No.
Yeah.
That was that his name? Sorry, I don't even know if that joke flew. Anyways, I wanna know about like what's your ultimate goal? Is your ultimate goal to get like 100% solid proof that they exist, or do you just want to kind of like what is the ultimate goal?
I would say well, the reason I set out in the first place was because when my kids were younger, they liked to play in the woods. And I was very aware of these beings. And so I said, you guys can't be doing that. This is serious. Uh, I've had them growl at my bedroom window. I've had them tap on the window. Um, and everybody was just
You
kind of
make
like
sure
nonchalant about it.
you're talking about creatures. I just want to make sure when you're saying the growling and the tapping, you're talking about your kids. I just want to be. I want to make sure people weren't like, oh, her kids were tapping at the window and growling. No, it's
No.
obviously the other things. But
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
So I set out and I started finding stick structures and tree structures. And what those are is they're very intricate uh, branches and sticks and trees that are braided together and made into teepees and little almost fence looking things and just all kinds. And we have those surrounding the forested part of this property. We have them everywhere. And so I started taking pictures of those. And after I started taking pictures of those, I started noticing other things in my pictures. And so there was a man that I used to follow. His name was Scott Carpenter. He passed away sadly, but he was a pioneer in the cryptid community. And the way he got his footage was by putting a GoPro on his back because they wouldn't come out when he was facing towards them, but they would come out once his back was to them. So I did that and I got a lot on camera doing that.
Interesting. Um, Can we talk about the interdimensional part for a second? Because I'm interested in like that means different things to different people, I think, when you say interdimensional. So Brandon had a question about like why they're staying hidden or why it's hard to find them, and you said they were interdimensional beings. Is that in a sense mean that they're like switching between dimensions? Or they can't be seen at certain times? Or like what exactly do you mean by that?
Okay, this is a rabbit hole. Are
Right,
you
I know.
ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alice in the Wonderland.
So
Let's go.
so you've seen the movie Predator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You know when the alien cloaks itself and it looks like water? These things have the ability to do that. Now I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm just gonna put that out there. And I believe that Hollywood lets us know a lot of things before it happens, just because of what I've seen.
Yeah.
And knowing that these things have that capability, and I've actually gotten them on camera. I've gotten the outline of them with like the fluid looking almost like reflection, but the outline of their body. I've captured that on camera as well. And so I think that's why a lot of people don't see them because they have the ability to cloak.
Interesting. But at least they're not like the Predator from the movie, because I feel like they'd just be hunting all the humans,
I
right?
don't think so. I maybe it would depend on what type you're coming upon and what it's like and what it wants.
That there's actually there's a question I have around that, especially when you were talking about like the growling or tapping on the window, which is that like what is the danger? Is there any danger that these things pose to the average person? Should somebody like would the average person who's going about their life, should they even think about this? Like, should they be afraid? Or is this something where maybe it's more dangerous as you go seeking it out if you're not careful? Like how would you communicate the danger to like anybody who's listening? Like, how would you say that?
It is more dangerous seeking them out. Um, but there are there's hundreds and thousands of people that have had experiences and that was the last thing on their mind. They some of them didn't even know. They said, and I saw something that isn't supposed to exist. And I was driving to my mother's, or I was out in the woods hunting. And then this thing just, it was gigantic and it stood up on 2 feet and had the head the size of a lion. And you know what I'm saying? So there's there's a lot of people out there that have had experiences that weren't looking for the experiences, and out of those people, you have a certain number of them that they get that obsession. They need to know more. So then they go out looking. It's like they need answers. And it's really it's it's hard for someone to have an experience like that and not have anyone to talk to about it
Yeah.
for fear of ridicule. And there's a lot of people that have had experiences that won't talk about it for fear of ridicule, and it affects them. And there's people whose lives were affected on a daily basis by that.
Hmm. Um, let's talk about. I'm interested in the portals a little bit too. Because I'm assuming that you mean now. Do you mean portals that go to different parts of our world, or do you mean portals that are like basically interdimensional type portals?
Just another dimension.
Gotcha. So this is like a Stranger Things situation, like from like that show.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like the upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
Do you think that even could be an example, as you said, of like Hollywood sort of there's a fiction element to that, but there's also a little bit um of giving us little drops of like truths that
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And my my fiance and I, we watched that series, and as we were watching it, I'd be like, "Oh, oh, oh," and he'd be like, "I know," because he knew that I would be like, "That's this that really happened. That happened. That's
Right.
happening."
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. And there's a really big yeah, and like the interdimensional sort of like the portal and the government aspect, there is a lot of that does get kind of shown. And yeah, that is really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say that with movies in general, I feel like Hollywood's always had they've had like their head up, like they know what's up, and not just with like these kind of beings. I think that there's a lot of things that come on movies, and they knew it somehow, whether it be a government thing or whatever it was. Uh, we're gonna get back to the cryptids a little bit later. I wanna kind of continue a little bit on what you had sent me about what you wanted to talk about, because after the first experience with the um we're gonna say Bigfoot to be respectful, with the Bigfoot in 1998. Then you lived in a haunted house, you said, for a little while.
yes,
And that was with the same sister, right?
yes.
Okay. Tell us about that experience.
Well, we were looking for a place to rent. I had just had my daughter, and we needed a bigger place. And there was a woman who was willing to rent us her house for $500 a month, and it was a huge, uh, 4 or 5 bedroom house, if I remember right. It was a 5 bedroom house, and it had a fireplace, a family room, an entertainment room. It had the French doors I absolutely loved in the back, and it had this really nice deck and then a lake in the backyard. And my sister was sort of in limbo between houses. She was waiting for the house that they would be renting to open up, but it didn't happen for it was like a few months down the road. And I literally, I mean, and this is before I ever watched Haunting in Connecticut. When I went and I looked at that house, I said, "What's the catch?"
Yeah.
I said that to my ex. I said, "What's the catch?" And I the only feeling I really got from it was, I mean, I felt a little strange, but I think at that time I thought I was feeling that way because I was moving from the city into the country, and I loved living in the city. And so I thought it was just like me, trying to get used to the idea of living in out in the country. Stuff started happening immediately. We had these these demonic entities that were appearing as one was appearing as a little girl in a long blue dress with with hair about to here. Another one was appearing as a man in a top hat, almost like an undertaker. And another one was appearing as a man in suspenders, like maybe Amish looking man in suspenders. And the man always looked either burnt or beat up or something. Um, I had glass explode in my face at that house. Um, we had uh, we had a dog man in the backyard at one point, and and the kids would come and tell us about the things they were seeing, but they would tell us individually because they thought the other kids maybe would make fun of them. So they were coming to us individually, so we knew that they were all seeing the same thing. And after we left that place, um, my kids started having experiences with being able to see things other people can't see. Um, and now it's like a normal thing, especially for my one daughter. It's become normal to her to see things that other people can't see. And I would say, and I was always like, why God, like why did you bring us here? Why are we here? Like are we supposed to try to figure out something that happened here and avenge someone's death or something?
Right.
We just didn't know. And one of the kids at one point came up to me and said that she was playing with a little boy and a little girl named Terry and Carrie. And she said, but the little boy was put in a round box, and the mean man shot him through the box and put him in the wall. So that was crazy because it wasn't very long after that I met up with this woman who I told her about the house and she knew what was going on and things. And she said, I don't know why, but and I never told her about what this little girl said. And she said, I don't know why, but I just have the feeling that there's something in those walls and you need to find out what it is and get it out of there or just find out what it is. Do something about it. And she said either that or leave. And we tried to stay the year, but about maybe 3 weeks would go by and nothing would happen. And we'd be like, wow, like the pastor came and blessed the house, like everything's great now, we can stay here. And then lo and behold, I'd be busy doing something, the only one there, and I'd hear Lori from the upstairs, someone calling me, and doors slamming shut on their own, just all kinds of things.
Did you ever find out, like, did you ever do any research on that property and ever find out if anything like malevolent happened?
My kids and I both did try to do some research. My kids are really good at that stuff because they're so like tech savvy.
Yeah.
Um and and they didn't find any information on the history of the house, but what they did find was um someone they went to something called Haunted Michigan, I think it was called.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like a website you're
There
talking
was
about, right? Yeah. Yeah.
there was there was a there was a post in there where a girl had said she lived at, and then she gave that address. And she said that she grew up in the house. She said the house is absolutely evil. She said, keep the drapes closed at night. And she said, there's bones in the walls. And it was written by Anonymous. And then it said, if you would like any further information, contact, and then it gave my name because this person knew that I'd lived there. Well, it turned out it was the daughter of the woman that originally lived there, that rented the house to us, that wrote that. And I'm not going to go all the way into how we figured that out, but that's yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, that is pretty. Is that house still around? Do you know?
Yes, it is.
All right. And that was in the state of Michigan?
Yes, in
Okay.
Benzie County.
All right. Wow.
Did you ever make any discoveries or anything as far as because now at least two different times now there's been something about something being in the walls, right? Whether it's bones or something evil. Did you ever try to find or make any discoveries in that direction and uncover anything?
Yes, yes. Um, there was this cubby in the upstairs. Now we all stayed away from the upstairs because that's where a lot of the activity was coming from. Um, and one day, my sister and I, we went upstairs, and we had just heard this cubby slam shut in the bathroom upstairs. So we went up there, and she took a flashlight, opened up the cubby, crawled in, and pulled out this garbage bag that was filled with unopened toys from like the 1950s,
Wow.
like 1950s Mickey Mouse and things that you could probably get a lot of money for. Um, and then after that bag was pulled out, we saw, she saw, and then I went in as well and used the flashlight and looked. Two, um, two things that were about the length of a body, two of them. They were wrapped in carpeting, plastic, and then cable cords laying side by side in the attic. The reason we didn't call the police is because we had called the police so much while living there, when we didn't know what to do, when there were all kinds of crazy things happening, and we were like, oh my gosh, call the police. There's a black being with long black scraggly hair crawling down the stairs, and that's all we could think of. And so they knew us pretty well because, and so we didn't call the police. We just left.
Wow. Was that the last straw then?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
That was it. We left with the clothes on our backs, left keepsakes, furniture, everything behind.
Wow. Um, you got any questions about that, Brandon?
No, I'm just taking it in.
So
Yeah,
these
I'm just thinking
obviously were
about
not friendly ghosts. They were, well,
yeah,
ghost or whatever you're.
Casper's.
Yeah, like, let's talk about ghosts for a second, because obviously you're a believer, right, Lori? Okay. And now, am I right by saying that there's going to be friendly ghosts, and there's probably going to be, and then there's going to be like demonic ghosts as well? Like or is it mainly just one or the other?
Um, it's one or the other, but in a situation like that, it's demonic.
Right, right. Definitely in that situation, it doesn't sound like. Have you ever been in a situation where there was a friendly anything?
I wouldn't call it a ghost. I would call it an angel,
Oh, okay, I got you. Right.
and they can appear as a person. I mean, that's how the demonic ones are able um to appear as people. Angels are able to do that. I did have an experience with an angel years ago when my kids were little, and it was standing in my kitchen, and I just knew that's what it was, and my daughters saw it too, and it was a beautiful experience.
Was there anything done or said, or were they just kind of like just viewing, just kind of seeing what's
Just
going on?
there. It was
Yeah.
just, yeah.
All right. Um. Yeah, I'm interested in go. I want to. I want to tell a short story really quick, because I think I've already told this to Brandon on the pod before, but about a week before my mom passed, she was seeing animals that had died in the fire that we had like 30 years ago. Animals like she at that time when we had the fire, she was watching a cat of somebody else, and that cat died in the fire. And she saw that cat like clear as day. Um, and it's very, and in that sense, I think it's very comforting, probably for the person that's in
Yes.
that situation.
Yes.
But when we talk about ghosts and demonic things, you are saying that like both of them can possess human beings. Like obviously we've heard of the real true stories of exorcisms happening and things like that. I mean, I don't know if anybody else needs to know about that or needs to hear about that listening to the pod, but exorcisms there has been plenty of evidence that there have been people who have been possessed, right, by demonic things.
Yes,
Like
absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of people that have been possessed, it's sad because that wasn't their intention. You know, they started out by dabbling in the occult,
mm,
and at the time, say like a bunch of kids at a party, and they're like, let's play the Ouija board,
right.
and then they take it a little further, and then they wind up, it's something that they wind up really liking to do because of the results they're getting, and then it just sort of like pulls them in, and then before they know it, and it starts with oppression, and then comes possession.
So, would you say that I mean, you wouldn't say that they're seeking out something to possess them, but they are seeking out something, right? Like just in general to
Right.
see if it's there or whatever. And then maybe they seek out the wrong thing and it becomes attached to them and then it
Right.
becomes a bad situation.
Now,
Um,
with saying that, that's why for me, a prayer is something that is very important to me, that I use like fervently. It's something that I have to do if I'm taking pictures, or if I'm going for a walk in the woods, or something like that, because because I because I don't want to become obsessed, and then become have a target on my back.
right. You don't want a
Yeah.
projectile vomit and like,
No,
from,
not
yeah.
not anytime, not anytime
Right,
soon.
right.
Like pea soup.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, is that why you said you left the house, as you said, like with the clothes in your back? Did you feel like because you otherwise you'd be at risk of like crossing some line, staying there too long, where
Yes.
obsession, or I forgot if you said obsession or oppression, but I think in some ways that
Oppression.
oppression.
We were highly oppressed while living there. Um, every night was a nightmare. I mean, like when I went to sleep, I had nightmares every night that I was there.
Yeah. Are you able to? One thing I'm really curious about is because I've heard mention of this like upstairs area that you talked about. And I was just wondering if there's any more of a description of like, because like I don't know if I'm picturing like a dusty attic with cobwebs or like a room that somebody could have used, but it was just at the top floor, or like what this area was like.
It was a big, when you first walk upstairs, to the right, there was a nice bathroom, a nice little bathroom. To the left, there was this bedroom with a ceiling fan and a big open floor, and then something called a reading room just off of it that had nothing but windows all the way around it. And then there was a bedroom, like you'd be facing the bedroom, like when you first walk upstairs. At one point, my ex-husband had bought me a dozen roses, and some things had gone down in the house, and we were like, we're getting out of here. So we were paying top dollar to stay in a hotel just to be able to have a break from the house. So our money is like running out, and we're like, okay, we got to go back. So on our way in, I said, wouldn't it be crazy if those rose petals were sprinkled up the stairs? And he was like, huh, yeah, you know. And we walk in, and the rose petals were were sprinkled up the stairs.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah,
Um, Now, there's going to be skeptics because there always is, right? So,
yeah.
are there any? I mean, obviously, some of the things you're explaining, like, it would be hard, I feel like, to say, oh, it could have been this, it could have been that, even though there's going to be people that are they're going to say that. You know, anytime you look at a video footage or a picture, it doesn't even have to be about ghosts, anything, you know, people always have different interpretations and, their reasons why. Do you personally think that there's any other explanation other than what you're saying, or do you just think it is what it is, what you're saying?
I think it is what it is, and I basically bet my life on it.
All right. Yeah.
That's what it's come down to. It's just the raw truth of it.
All right.
How have, like, off the back of that question, like, how do you feel like you've dealt with a lot of skepticism since since you was at a very young age and you first got started with your experiences and then you're researching? Um, yeah, I guess it's two questions. It's like, do you feel like you've had a lot of skepticism? And then the other one is like, how do you feel how do you deal with that?
I I like to educate people about what's happening around them, things that they can't see, if it poses any danger. And as you know, my sister lives right down the road. And so what's happening in our woods is happening in her woods. And she's had, stuff go on there too. And so she's, as far as like people who live on this road, everybody knows that there's, you know, something happening. I've shared my belief in these things and the fact that they exist with a lot of people. Believe it or not, it's been pretty well received by most people. And that could have just been them, humoring me, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but but that's what I've gotten for the most part.
Yeah. It does seem to be one of those things where people aren't always like getting really personal about their experiences with these things, but it does seem like everybody seems to have at least like one experience that if you really talk to them, there's like something weird that happened or something they can't explain. So, yeah, I guess it does make sense hearing you say that it's like that people would be more accepting maybe than you'd think because they do sort of everybody has some weird experience.
Yeah, once in a while, if I'm talking to someone, they'll open up and and they'll tell me their experience.
And that's a really good thing because, like you had said before, there might be people going through those experiences that don't have anybody to talk to. I think, I think from when we were all kids, um, I think that people are more. I feel like people are more open-minded, like than they used to be about certain things. So I think that that might be the case too. And it creates a great discussion. I mean, honestly, who doesn't want to discuss these kind of things? Like, even if you're not really into it, it's still an interesting thing to think about, right?
It's
So
intriguing.
yeah. Um, just to know that like there's a part of the world where like, oh, we have these boring, mundane jobs. We go to our 9 to 5 jobs, we go back to our family, we have dinner, we talk about our days, blah, 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 watch our TV or whatever. And then that's what it is. But there are these people out there that they need more than that. And just to hear about it or discuss things like that could open up their mind to those types of things. And I think it's really cool what you're doing. And it's really cool that people can talk to you about it and stuff. Um, yeah, so that is really cool. So that was your house experience. Do you want to, is there anything else that you didn't add that you want to add, or was that pretty much it as far as that?
That's pretty much it as far as the living in that house.
All right, and let me give you a plug really quick because I don't think I said this in the opening. You are on TikTok under the TikTok name. Your handle on there is Laurie Sullivan Knowles, right?
Yeah, the Knowles is spelled Knowls, not
Right.
Les.
Yeah, for those weird people out there that spell it differently, that's what it is. And you do have a TikTok. You talk about this stuff. You go over pictures, things that you've personally seen or taken a picture of, and we will get into some pictures later that you have sent us, and we'll talk more about those. So yeah, I just wanted to plug that. Also, okay, so then you said that about 10 years ago, when you became a field researcher, basically, studying this paranormal stuff, you set your camera out, it went out and with your camera in hand and was trying to prove the existence of all these things. And then you were talking about something called the Sasquatch Genome Study. So why don't you talk a little bit
Yes.
about that?
Okay, the Sasquatch Genome Study is something that was started by, I mentioned earlier, Scott Carpenter, who's no longer with us. Um, he's the one who I said is definitely a pioneer in the cryptid community. And a man by the name of Dave Politis, he runs something called the Can Am Missing Persons Project. You should check it out on YouTube. It's really interesting. They delve into missing people, missing persons under strange circumstances, and they also talk about Sasquatch and the possible link there is in national parks and things like that. Uh, so they wanted to they were gathering evidence, and the way Scott gathered his evidence was he put bacon grease on a tree that he knew was a hot spot. He had seen these things. He put bacon grease about 10 feet up the tree, and then he put tape on the tree backward so that when the Sasquatch leaned in to lick the bacon grease, it would get some of those hairs. Now, in order to do um, a good like diagnostic on DNA, you have to have something called the skin tag, which is like the root of the hair. And so they got those, they acquired them, and they contacted a woman by the name of Melba Ketchum, Dr. Melba Ketchum. She was working for someone else in a lab somewhere, and because of the work she was doing and helping these guys, she had lost her job and she was even getting death threats.
Mm.
Since then, she created something, I believe it's called DNA analytics. It's her own place to process DNA. And with the Sasquatch DNA, the mitochondrial DNA, which would be from the mother, was came back as human woman. The nuclear DNA that that comes from the father came back as unknown. Nothing that's ever been on record anywhere, any place, anytime. And they tested and retested and tested and retested even more, you know, samples and continued to come up with the same answers.
Brandon, I think I saw you writing some stuff down. You got some
Well,
questions?
there's so much to
There's a
that
lot
was
to unpack
interested.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot that was interesting to me. Diving into the Sasquatch genome study. Um, so when you talked about that human woman and unknown, um, are these is this the data like from the sequencing that they did based on what they got when they tried to gather DNA from the Sasquatch using, like you said, there was, I forgot if you said it was like bacon grease is that the word?
Yes.
Okay. Um, so that's what they had gotten back, which is really strange, especially the unknown part, right? And that's where it's like, what is that? Is it, um, yeah, that's really strange. So
That's where think about the Nephilim,
Yeah.
as I was talking about before.
Right.
yeah,
Um, I mean, angel DNA, who knows,
Right.
yeah,
that
unknown.
wouldn't be on record.
Do you know of any other any other breakthroughs or anything else about this like Sasquatch genome study? Because I do find that really interesting.
Um, Not off the top of my head, no. I'm sure that since I last checked, they've probably come up with more. But that's something I definitely need to look into. As something that I'd like to look into
Is
a
that
little
still
more.
ongoing right now? Are they still trying to work on that?
Yes, yes, they are uh promoting, um in whichever way they can, they are promoting um their findings. And uh like I said, Dave Politis does the Can Am Missing Persons Project, and I believe he's spoke on it as well.
Do you think that like this situation with the unknown father in like you were saying your theory is that it's like a fallen angel. Now, is this fallen angel, I don't want to say the word that would YouTube is going to demonetize us for even though we don't make any money on YouTube. But what I will say is do you think that this angel is sexually assaulting the woman to get this baby or is this more of a like or they show up as like a normal human being, like you said, and then like maybe they just have consensual sex, and then she has the kid, and then he just gets out of there and nobody sees him again. What kind of situation do you think it is for the mother of like what this being would be?
Have you heard of women being abducted
Right.
and finding out they're pregnant
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the baby being taken?
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I have heard of those
It's
stories.
connected.
Yeah.
It's connected.
All right. Yeah, that's kind of that's freaky in a way, isn't it? Um. Yeah. Imagine being a mother and then just having your baby taken away. Well, but the initial sexual experience or whatever you want to say for these people, would you say that that was like consensual, or is it just some like weird thing happening? It's not consensual. So
Not
it's not like a
consensual.
demon in a human's body, and she meets this human, and they're like, and she just thinks it's a regular
No,
human. Okay, all right,
no.
all right, interesting.
Or
Um,
also, I'd imagine like something where, like an immaculate conception situation where there's some supernatural way that um a baby, is created.
are you
Is there
saying
also like
Jesus is
something?
Sasquatch? Don't
Well,
say that, Brandon.
yeah, it's on the record. I've said
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah,
Um,
that's clickbait right there.
yeah.
Yeah. Um all right, so we talked about the genome study. You've been recording them. We talked about how you're on TikTok now, you're doing good things with that. Let's talk a little bit more about cryptids because then we're going to get into the North American Dogman Project. So, um can you tell us some other like can you talk about some other cryptids? I mean, whether or not you've seen them or have evidence of them, but can you just like discuss some of the ones that maybe are your like that kind of pique your interest?
Well, there is the indigenous people refuse to say the word, and I respectfully refuse to say the word, so I'll spell it out. But there's something called Skinwalker,
Okay. Yeah.
and
It sounds all like that would be something where I wouldn't want to meet. Like,
yeah,
where are they getting that blank that they're walking in? Basically, kind of thing.
it's indigenous people believe that it's when a person becomes so evil that the humanity in them is just completely depleted,
Yeah.
and they become this beast. Now, what's really interesting is in the book of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar was a king, and he wasn't recognizing God's sovereignty, and so he was cursed to crawl on his hands and knees and eat grass like oxen and it said his nails grew out like those of beasts, and his hair grew like feathers of birds. That would be a cryptid.
Do you think that that's happening today? Do you think that um like humans are becoming cryptids because they're just like so evil? Do you think that's happening today, or is that just a biblical thing you think?
I believe that that's the walker
Gotcha. All right. And
specifically.
all right. Um what about some other what have I okay, one of the creatures, and I don't know if this would be considered a cryptid or not, but one of the creatures that I always have been kind of enamored with is the banshee. Um
Yeah.
What do you know about the banshee? I mean, I only know that they like scream really loud or something like that, and they're like
You know
they're in
what's
the
crazy?
woods with everything else apparently, but
You know what's crazy is I think I may have heard one
nice.
before, but I've never experienced seeing one.
And I have to ask for record, you're not a siren, are you? You don't lure men into like some I don't know what they do exactly, but all right.
Only on, only in the summertime when the water's warm.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Any other cryptids? I know I've got some rattling around in my brain, but I just can't remember the terms for them. But are there any other ones that you'd like to discuss, or maybe Brandon's got some on his mind?
Well, I know there's the I've heard names of all sorts of things. I don't know if this
The
classifies as a
Chupacabra,
cryptid. The Chupacabra,
the
that's
Jersey
right.
Devil, the Lizard Man.
The rake,
Yeah, I mean,
the rake.
yeah, I've heard
You just
those.
pulled up a list. Didn't you?
Me, no. I actually didn't. I just thought those are the three that I kind of know. There's one that's killing me right now because I want to ask her about it, but I don't remember what it's called, and I'm not even really.
Would
But go ahead.
would like the Loch Ness monster, is that considered a cryptid, or is that another
Yeah.
category? Yeah, more of a cryptid.
It's considered a cryptid until someone's able to prove otherwise.
Because that's one of those right on the line situations where it could legitimately be like a prehistoric animal that has just survived all this time, right? And it's like,
Yes.
so so is the jury kind of out on this thing on like if it's if it's a cryptid and it has the aspects of like cloaking as we commonly think about uh, cryptids having, or if it's something that's just really good at hiding, you know what I mean, like an animal that we're not able to locate because it's like
Honestly,
deep in
I
the water.
think I think the Loch Ness monster is a flesh and blood prehistoric being that survived the flood because it lives in the water. So,
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that everything from the show Supernatural was basically right on? Did you ever watch that show with
supernatural.
Dean and Sam Winchester, all the guys that all the girls thought were good looking, the brothers that would always.
I don't I don't
It was
I
like
don't
a.
think I did.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised because it's like a beefed up version of X Files, and it doesn't really focus on aliens as much as X Files does. It really explores like cryptids and they're like monster hunters or whatever you would call it. So interesting. I thought you would
Really?
have been all over that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about let's talk about the Dogman because we're all Michigan natives, so we've heard about the Dogman for a lot of our lives. There was the famous song back in the day. Um, Tell us about the Dogman and what you know about the Dogman. And I'm assuming it's not just Michigan, right? I'm sure there are other versions of the
Right,
Dogman, like you were saying. But you were saying earlier that
right.
there were like 3 version that had like human feet and then 4
Yes.
that didn't. So
Yes.
talk more about some of that.
Okay. Well, the as I said, there's 7 different types, but I personally believe that there's more than 7 types because I've gotten footage myself of one with like a boxer looking head. Um they don't name them according to their feet. They name them according to what their head looks like. And they have one that looks like a hyena. They have one that has like the head of a chow. one that looks more like a German Shepherd. Um, I'm thinking, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Well, I'm going to share this really quick. Because this is a picture you sent to me.
Yes.
And you just said what this kind was a minute ago, but I forgot how you described it with the head. Was this more like the hyena type head, or what was this?
Yeah, that one looks to be a little more like the hyena.
I don't know how much. Oh, I guess I can. Unfortunately, it doesn't help when I zoom in. It doesn't really help with the with the with the picture. But
It has a shorter snout.
this is interesting. But to me, okay. So these are two trees. Okay. Is there this looks like a huge head to me, but it could just be the angle, right?
No, it's very big.
Okay. Is it so like in comparison to their bodies, like are they they walking around and it's like kind of like a bobblehead where it's kind of hard because their bodies, or are their bodies strong enough to be able to, but I'm a
Their bodies are
muscle.
their bodies are more than strong enough to hold up their head, but their heads are usually they usually have like a mane and then a hackle that goes down their back, and the heads are usually very large.
Do they normally just walk on 4 feet then? Or do they walk upright? Do they have 4 feet or do they have 2 feet? I guess I should ask. I mean, I would assume they had 4, but I don't know.
They have their hands, their arms
Right.
are longer than their back legs, and their hands look like hands of like a raccoon, only obviously much larger, with really long
They
claws.
have tails?
Some do, some don't.
Okay. All right. Well, I wanted to throw that picture up because you're talking about the dog man. But go ahead. Yeah, keep talking about the different variations that you know of and just tell us more about what you know of them.
Yeah. So like I said, there's one that has the head of a chow, looks like a chow. One that looks more like a German Shepherd. Then there's one that I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it, but just looking at its face is like unsettling. I think that kind has a little more of a boxer's face, if I'm remembering right. And then they're the rest of them, I mean, are they're pretty much all um look like either the German Shepherd or the hyena or the chow. They're all right in there.
Okay. How are these things would these things be like the Bigfoot and the Dogman and other cryptids? Would they all be meat eaters?
Yeah.
And they're just eating probably small animals. Do you think that there's ever been a case where they've eaten humans?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Interesting. Do you have any
They've
backstories?
been known to steal they've been known to steal farm animals.
Right.
There have been several people who were attacked, and the DNA the person was just torn to shreds, and the DNA came back as canine, but there was no way that a normal dog could have done it.
Jeez.
And one was a 13-year-old boy, and this happened like I want to say 2 years ago maybe. But that's not the norm. They don't they don't usually attack like that, and no one's quite sure why, what it is that sets them off to make them do that.
You were talking
Do they
earlier. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brandon.
do they well, I'm wondering about the behavior as well, like because we're talking about eating. Would you describe it as well, I guess what I'm wondering about is their hunting behavior. Does it look like are these things in packs or is it like
Yes.
are they oh really? Okay.
Yeah. They will have one that comes out to push the herd of deer, and then they'll flank them.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's
They're very
intelligent.
they know, absolutely. Yeah.
Do they? Is their intelligence like? Is it? Is it like? Is it getting close to a human, or is it equal, or is it above a human's intelligence? Like, how would you describe or what we think about that?
Wow.
If you had to
I
guess,
think
yeah.
I think in some ways above a human's, and then in other ways not so much,
Probably not good at using the
because
internet, but but
yeah,
probably
because
much better like hunters maybe.
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, you're getting into like emotions and things like that. Like, do they respond to loss, or do they, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do think that there's certain things that they're more in tune with than we are, and then vice versa.
But their hunting intelligence and instincts for these kind of things sounds like it way surpasses what a humans would be. In that,
Yes.
especially in that environment.
Yeah. I mean, definitely when she was referring to the predator earlier, there's a lot of kind of things there that, you know,
Yeah.
are kind of alike in that way. My question is more like if so first of all, do you know like what would be do they just have like an average lifespan of like a human or do they have an average lifespan of a dog? And I guess this is not just specifically for dogmen, but maybe for like Bigfoot or any like what do you know about that or do you have a guess or anything about that?
There was a woman, I can't remember what the woman's name was, but she lived on something called the Fox Farm, and you can look this up. She wound up writing a book about it. She developed a relationship with a Sasquatch, and I think they named him either Red or Fox. I can't remember.
Was that after
Um,
the actual actor? Red Fox? Or no?
no.
Oh, okay. I just thought that was kind of weird that they did that. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
No, no, she named it either Red or she named it Fox, and I can't remember which she named it, but um she developed a relationship with it, and if I'm remembering right, I think this thing's lifespan was similar to that of a person.
So they've probably been around forever, obviously, like we were saying. So if
Yeah.
one of them dies, how come? Like, are they just rotting away in the woods somewhere, or maybe like maybe they've got some kind of ritual where they're taking them somewhere if they travel in packs? What do you think about like that? Where because I don't think there's anybody that's gone like into the woods and they found like a crazy body like that and they didn't know unless I'm missing something. But
Well, I think that when they're here in our dimension, they have to adhere to all of the physical things that we have to hear. And so if they die here, then they're deceased here. And so it's my personal belief that they bury them. But that's just my theory.
do you know their range? Like, you would say a deer has this amount of range of, when they roam. Do you know any of that? Or is it like, I'm assuming it's pretty big for some of these, but
I think that there's places that they like to be, have their clan, because they have clans. I think that there's places, and dogmen have packs, but I think that there's places that they become very familiar with, and it's sort of like home for them. But I also believe that a large number of them, um, they go south when the weather here gets cold, and then in about March is when the activity here really heats back up again.
how do they get south? I mean, it seems like there would be some moments from going like, and I'm assuming you mean like, I don't know how far south you mean, but they're not always going to have cover. I mean, I suppose they can move in the dark of night or whatever, but how do you think that they're like maneuvering I mean, because obviously they're just walking. I know that or whatever, but
I think they do it like any other animal would.
gotcha. Like,
And I think that they're seen like any other animal that's doing that would be seen,
right.
and those are people having experiences.
That's true. That's true. Do you ever think that there's people out there that just that do you think there's a lot of people out there? There's the people that will have the experiences and they will share it, and then there's the people that will have the experience and not share it. But there's also the people who just might like just erase it from their mind, like they make themselves think that it's just a regular animal or something that they saw and they didn't really actually see what they saw.
There's actually a guy that has a special number for people to call that have had experiences with cryptids, and I don't know if the name of what he does is the same, but he was calling it cryptid PTSD.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Brandon, I've been kind of hogging the questions here. I didn't know if you had
Yeah.
something.
Thanks. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've heard, I don't know if I've seen maybe some imagery, but is there like an element of some of these? Like, is glowing eyes ever, or am I thinking of something else? But these dogmen, they have glowing eyes sometimes.
Yes, yes. For their eyes glow from the inside. A lot of them have amber colored eyes, that that glow. And some of them have red eyes that glow. And that's same with Sasquatch.
And I'd imagine that this is one of those things that's really unnerving too. If say you find yourself in the woods at night, and you have maybe, somebody with a dimly lit campfire, and you look off and you see something glowing that normally you wouldn't. Um, it's a really frightening experience. So, um, I'm sure that's something that people share. And
Yeah,
also, well, I also want to talk about the sounds too. Like, what is there a certain? I've heard the sounds of um coyotes and maybe wolves in the distance or other types of animals. Do they sound similar to these, or do they have their own sound? And
Yeah. Like, could
what
you
about that?
recognize it?
yeah, they have their own sound. I actually have uh I have audio of some of them. Um the Sasquatch is able to shriek. Sounds like a mix between a horse and a human.
Wow.
But I also have one on audio. They also do sort of like a "Ugh," like
Grunt
like that,
kind of
like a
Like
grunt
a Tim
sort
Allen
of.
grunt. Mhm. Oh, yeah.
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 And a dog man has like a great lung capacity. There's a lot of times that you'll hear coyotes in the woods. Well, maybe not a lot of times, but sometimes you'll hear coyotes in the woods, and then you'll hear something else that you know isn't a coyote because the lung capacity is far greater than that of a coyote. And I believe that the coyotes a lot of times um, follow them because they like to eat the scraps.
So they're not trying to eat the coyotes.
No,
Okay.
no, but they have turned on them before, just ripped them right in half.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing I was thinking about earlier was a Wendigo. What do you know about Wendigos? Am I even saying it right? It's kind of a tough, like, I know how to spell it, but it's like kind of tough to, is that how you say it? Wendigo?
If I'm Yeah, you're saying
Okay.
it right. I could be wrong, but if I'm remembering this right, I think it's along the same lines as the SKIN
Okay.
walker.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I think you might be
Um,
right because I think that they do, like, I watched a horror movie about a Wendigo. It was actually a pretty good movie. But, yeah, I think that they did represent a lot of that, of what you were talking about with with the S walkers. I'll just say S walker.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of names for, like, you could have one thing, and then like we were talking about before, different people might call them different things. So, and that goes with other cryptids as well.
What do you think about, like, you said that a lot of these things travel in packs. So what happens if they
Mhm.
meet another pack? Is it friendly? Is it not friendly? Or like, do you know?
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't
All
know.
right. Interesting. Brandon?
Well, I'm interested. I don't want to get too far off the subject of because we're talking about a lot about dogmen right now, but um, I'm interested in also like flying or aerial type cryptids. I know we talked a little bit about, broadly the idea of angels and demons, things like that. But I think there's other cryptids. I don't know how you'd say. I tried to pull up a list here of things like Mothman,
The Jersey Devil.
Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
And
Mothman is
so,
crazy. It's such a crazy thing when you start reading into that. Because that seems like
yeah, I
more of a
mean,
premonition thing, right, Lori? Like what you hear about Mothman, like they were like if you've watched the movie, I think with Richard Gere or whatever, but
Yeah,
where that big bridge collapsed in West Virginia and there was supposedly signs that it
right.
was going to collapse, but
Right. I personally know someone that's seen it before, and this person was in the military, no nonsense, didn't believe something unless he saw it with his own two eyes, like, didn't, like I said, just a very no nonsense type of guy. And he had an experience and he saw what people would describe to be the Mothman, and this happened in Kingsley.
wow.
Um, yeah, it was standing next to a tree when he was traveling back from Fife Lake to Travers,
Wow.
if anybody knows where that is.
Yeah.
towns in Michigan.
Yeah. But I mean, I kind of stepped on Brandon's question, but I guess you were asking, are there any other like flying cryptids besides like the two that we were just talking about, right?
Yeah, and just what you know about them and
Yeah.
and any information about those types. Because I think that's an interesting kind of
That's almost
yeah type
scarier,
of.
right? If they can fly. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you know about any
There's
other
stories
ones?
about them flying right next to people and looking in their car windows while they're driving, and the person's like trying to drive as
Oh,
fast as they can, and
jeez,
it's right
man.
there,
You ever seen
flying right
Jeepers
next to their
Creepers,
window.
Lori?
Yes, I love that
I know, and it
movie.
makes me think of that because that thing is crazy, and it's like,
I
but
know.
yeah, yeah, great movie, by the way. Yeah, yeah. So, is there any other ones besides the Jersey Devil and the Mothman?
Um, a lot of people in the cryptid community might talk about pterodactyls, even though they are prehistoric. There's been a lot of reports of sightings of those, and even though it's not necessarily a cryptid, it's something that's recognized by the cryptid community as being something that is out there.
So, you're saying that some of these people have believed that they've seen pterodactyls in like the modern day?
Yes,
Gotcha. All right,
yes, yes.
interesting. Um, all right. Any more questions on Dogman, Brandon?
Um, no, not at this time. I mean, do we have any
Can
other?
you get one at the pound that grows up? Like, do you think they start off as like little puppies?
Yeah.
Okay. And they're
Mhm.
probably much cuter at that when they're little puppies? I don't know.
There was a man, I just watched a story about a man who allegedly found one, and it was by itself, and he raised it and then he let it go, and it was a dog man.
That's crazy. I thought you were going to end that by saying that he came back and slaughtered the guy, but I'm glad that didn't happen.
Oh,
Um, is there anything else about dogmen that we haven't talked about that you would like to share?
just that when you go out into the woods, just know that there are absolutely things out there. Just because you can't see them right away or even sense them, there are things out there, and you need to keep your head on a swivel when you go out there, and
Be
make sure
alert.
that you're
Yeah.
be alert, have a compass, have even like a sat phone is a really good idea if you're going, deep into the woods. I would entirely I would say that that's definitely something that people should have if they're venturing out like that.
Would you say dogmen are would they be more? I mean, you were talking about a guy who raised one. I mean, are they more of like are they a demonic thing, or are they more of like kind of unexplained? We don't really know. Are they docile? Like what would you say?
Some are docile and some act very evil.
Okay. So it really just depends in of maybe their lineage or something of like where they came from.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Um and you have just became a researcher of the North American Dogman Project. So tell us what that involves in what exactly you're going to be doing or what that means to people who've never heard that before.
Okay, well, a lot of it I'll be doing what I've been doing. A lot of it is taking data. If there's a report, taking the report, asking, you know, finding out what the phase of the moon was, what the temperature was, what night it fell on, if there's anything that sort of like pops up that's questionable, um to ask those questions and then report back.
Now, are you going to explore beyond your area? Like now that you're a kind of a researcher for this area of Michigan, and I don't know exactly where the region extends to, but are you going to go to other areas um, and kind of do some research and see if you can find something?
That remains to be seen.
Maybe we could get a video crew out there, right, Brandon? Like we've got a crew, but you know what I mean. Mainly just
that
you
would be
with a
great.
camera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be glad to have you guys out here.
Yeah, it'd be fun. It'd be interesting.
we could
Definitely
do
in
a
the
live
summer,
stream.
obviously. We're gonna wait till summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
um
yeah.
all right, well it's really cool that you're a part of that. I did not know that existed before you told us because we had kind of had a little preamble with you last week and until you told us about that, but it's still really cool. And I like the fact that because a lot of people might hear that and they'll be like, oh, what is this BS bullshit or whatever, but what
Right.
you're talking about it's very scientific, right, Brandon? It's like the method is very
Yes.
scientific. It's like, okay, well, let's find out when these if you see one, let's find out like what's going on, and so that way we can compare to when other people see him, and we can maybe get down to like the
Yeah.
nitty gritty about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're gathering data in a way where it's like, and correct me if I get any of this wrong, Lori, but it sounds like you guys have an understanding of a lot of aspects of these dogmen and when you might see them or when you might not, but you're also open to saying like there's a lot of things we don't know. And so that's part of your job too, is like, or part of the role as the researcher is you're gathering this information because you're saying like, well, what was the phase of the moon, or what was, like what day of the week was it, or what, anything that could be happening that could have an effect. So that way you guys can try to connect the dots later on. And
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to
so
ask a silly question now, but I feel like it should be asked. Um, do any of these cryptids ever wear clothing?
Um, not that I've not
I would
that
assume
I
that
don't think
nothing would
anyone's
fit
ever
them, right?
referred
Like the way
to
you're describing them, I feel like it would have to be like a specially made thing or something. Um,
they don't cover anything up.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. All right. And on our next
Uh,
episode, we'll talk cryptid porn. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, let's go over some pictures. Do you want to go over some? You sent us some pictures, and I'd like to go over, and
yeah.
maybe we could discuss some things. All right. You
Okay.
want to tell us what we're looking at? Because Brandon and I thought this was we thought this was shark teeth, and we just thought this was like a giant shark that was lurking in the woods for some reason.
Yeah, that was in the backyard. I was really nervous. I zoomed in and I didn't get the top half of the face. That's the bottom half of the face of a Sasquatch.
Okay. So is this like a mouth? Or is okay.
Yes.
Interesting. You know what? What I'm sensing here, Brandon, since you're a millionaire, I feel like that Laurie should probably have a better camera for this type of work. Is this off your phone? I mean, phone
Yeah,
cameras are
it's all
actually
off
pretty
my
good
phone.
nowadays anyways, but all right.
Is
And
this it? No,
do you want to go back to
actually,
that
there is
one?
something. Yeah,
Okay, go
there
ahead.
is something interesting about that, and it probably a lot of these pictures have that in common. But is it because I'd imagine these sightings they happen more when it's approaching or in the nighttime,
Yes.
and so yeah, and so do you find that? And so the cameras have a harder time, I would assume, getting a clear picture in the nighttime. Is that
Ye
part of what's going on too? Sometimes with these pictures, is like
yes.
and And also, are we seeing like, as you had mentioned, like the dimensionality, or like the cloaking abilities? Are we seeing like, is that why sometimes it's hard to get a good picture because you're seeing sort of like this translucent kind
Yes.
of outline of something, but it's not as
Yep.
clear as you'd like it
Yeah.
to be?
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
Like Brandon and I always would joke that Bigfoot was just blurry. Like that's how he was. He was just blurry in real life. So that's why he was always
Yeah.
blurry
Yeah,
in
well,
photos.
when you see, it's kind of a hard thing because if you take a clear picture, it's AI. But if you take a blurry picture, it's someone in a ghillie suit and it's not real. You know what I
That is
mean?
Yeah.
interesting because that
Um,
is where we're headed now. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And I really truly believe that the government doesn't care what people show anymore and they're not hiding things because everyone's going to say, "Oh, that's AI." They don't have to hide anything anymore.
Right. I do agree with you there. I think they're giving less and less fucks about what's going out
Yep.
there because
Yep.
they have all the deniability that they can use it in so many aspects. But yeah, um, that is interesting. Let's go. All right. So what are we looking at here?
This is what people would refer to as a fairy.
Okay, that's yeah. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, I what I did um s- several times last summer was I put my phone outside um trying to capture a cryptid because I found prints in the backyard and instead I captured these flying around the lens.
Wow. And to a person that would say, "Hey, that's just a moth," what do you say?
I say, look at it. That's not a moth. Moths don't glow.
Yeah, I was going to say there is kind of a glowing quality there to it, like it's been in some kind of radiation or something. But
Hmm.
yeah, that is interesting.
And these are seen in places where there's a high probability of having a cryptid around.
So do you think they're related somehow? Like not I don't mean like
Absolutely.
related, but you know what I mean, like related in the sense that
They're
Cousins.
connected.
yeah.
They're connected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is crazy. First of all, I think that you should like are you only taking pictures with your camera or do you have some kind of camera that's set up somewhere where it's constantly recording like a Ring or something or what, you know?
No, I don't have anything like that.
Okay.
I was just putting my phone out.
Because you could get some of those ones out there, and if you don't want like something like Ring where all of it goes back to them, we got cameras here a while back that are just all local storage, so they're not going back to anybody. They're just staying on local storage, and they have really good night vision now on a lot of these cameras. I'm sure Brandon knows. I'm sure you know. So would be interested maybe like in the future, if you know anybody who's rich in your family that would get you those. But we'll move on. All right. What are we looking at here? Because this one's a little bit more blurrier than, so it's kind of tough to tell. But what are we looking at?
That's a dog man peeking up from the brush,
All
from
right.
the
So
trees.
basically everything in the circle is the face. I don't know what this is. I'm assuming that's still part of the tree. This little.
You can only see the top half of the face and the ears.
Okay. So, all right. And like, what is this? Is this a nose?
No, you just have the arrow in between the ears.
Oh. Okay. Interesting. All right.
So
Was
yeah.
this during? This looked like much lighter, like it was lighter out.
Yeah, that was during the day.
Okay. All right. And would you say that you're getting more pictures at night, at dusk, at dawn, during the day? Like, what's the best time, do you think?
During the day with the cryptids.
Okay, so they are out in the
At
day a lot.
they are,
Okay.
but they're around and they make themselves known at night, like close to the house and things like that.
All right. All right.
Is this real quickly on this picture? Are we seeing it? Am I, because I'm trying to understand the orientation. Is its head facing more downward here, or
This is apparently an ear,
Yes.
right? Or in between an ear?
No, that's in between the two ears.
Okay.
is that more like a forehead or top of the head, or how am I looking at?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All you can see is the forehead and the ears.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, let's. What is this?
This is interesting.
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
That's when I captured on video. When I was driving down the road, I sort of like held my camera out the window and didn't look. I kept my head, I just kept looking straight so that if there was anything there, it might pop out. And I got one to pop out.
Is that almost looks like now I almost feel like I'm looking at water right there. Is there any water in this picture, or am I just seeing it wrong?
No, those are just branches and trees.
I see. Yeah, because the form of this thing almost looks like it continue kind of down to the bottom of the circle, like where there's like a
Yes.
brownish outline. Okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
I see.
Anything that's in
interesting.
this brownish is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And what do you suppose that like, what is this, do you think?
A dogman, definitely.
Okay.
Dogman?
All right.
Yeah.
And what are we looking at here?
That's one peeking out from behind a tree when I had the camera towards my back.
Okay.
You can see it. You can see at the very top
Up here?
the ear sticking up.
Am I pointing in the
The
right
ear
spot?
sticking. Put the arrow more toward, like, push it towards the left.
This way?
Right there.
Okay.
Right there's the ear.
Oh, okay. Okay. I get that. Yeah. All right. Interesting. All right. Let's go to the next. Yeah, I saw a couple of these where you're mentioning transparent cubes. Do you know anything about these transparent cubes, or is that basically it?
I've researched them, and there was only one man. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Think I might have wrote it. His name's Trey Hudson. He's a field researcher, and he was the only person that I could come up with that knew anything about these cubes, and said that they are present in areas of high strangeness.
Hmm. Do you know anything else? Like, what are they for? Do you know any of that, or has anybody come up with any
No,
ideas? No.
no idea.
And is it this right here? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've seen before, and I know we haven't really, I don't know if you have it on the on sort of outline or anything to talk about, but I've seen some like government reports or people talking about UFOs or kind of alien activity, and I've seen like in the sky mention of cubes, um which I thought, and they had mentioned it had some interdimensionality associated with it, possibly. But it was like cubes with like maybe like sometimes you see like a sphere or a pyramid structure. Um, is that is that related to this idea, like these cubes here, or is this a different like, or
Yes,
what do you
that's
know about this?
related.
Yeah,
That's related. Yeah.
that's really interesting. Yeah.
According to what Trey Hudson was saying, it's related.
All right.
This is nice.
Yeah. What are we looking at here? Almost looks like a little.
That's a dog, man.
Okay. So are these?
A lot of them have very, very tall, pointy ears
Okay.
that stick straight up.
So that's what we're looking at right here.
And
Is these would be the ears?
yes, he's sitting.
I got you.
Is that like the I don't want to get my breeds wrong, but is that like the boxer type that, or
No, that would be one with a longer snout.
longer snout?
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting right there.
Yeah, there's definitely it is weird because it almost looks like it's just looking directly at you.
It is.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Um, this is the one we've already talked about. Okay, how about more transparent cubes? So
Yeah,
now is this water? Are we looking at water or is this still not water?
that's a cube.
So these are 2 cubes, right?
Yeah.
And then what is this back here?
Yep.
Is that just part of the forest or?
Yes.
Okay. It does almost look like a lake. It almost looks like 2 cubes in front of a lake a little bit, but
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
um,
I see it though.
yeah. That is interesting. Those transparent cubes. I would love to get more information on that. So when you do get more information, I mean, we could always have you back too, because I feel like this is
Yeah,
going pretty
I would
well.
love that.
All right, what is this we're looking at?
These are the doorways I believe I captured.
Okay. And so is something in here? Is a doorway?
Yeah, look at the bottom of it. You can see a face.
Like here? Or here?
Huh?
There's actually a
At the
couple,
bottom.
like,
Yeah.
I almost feel like I see a
Yep.
face here too, and a little weird
Yes.
here, and make something maybe here,
Yes. And then there's more doors next to
like
it.
all these.
And that's like a door, and those are doors like that you would like. I'm seeing a big like rectangular sort of brownish structure. That's the door.
Yeah, that's
They
a
take you to
portal.
Burger King.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, no.
It sort of reminds me of like a door you'd see in like the Labyrinth or something. You know,
I know.
in that
That's
movie.
that Hollywood, man,
Um,
getting it before
yeah.
we know. All right. And what are we looking at here?
That's a dogman. And as you can see, the arms are longer than the back legs. The back legs have haunches. So that would be one of the types that do not have the humanoid feet.
Is this sideways or is this looking forward or backward?
It's sideways.
Okay, so these would be like the front or the back or which?
Yep.
Okay, and then these. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Was that it? Was that all the pictures? Do I have more? I think that might be it. Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah, and that looks like is that a nighttime picture? That's had the
It's dusk.
dust.
Is it a wintry?
Yeah.
Is this winter? Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if that was like snow or like some kind of cool cocaine mountain. All right. All right. Well, those are the pictures. Very cool. Obviously keep doing all that stuff and keep us informed.
We will.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about that we haven't discussed yet today? I feel like we could probably do a whole new other episode with you at another time, but
You know what? I would love to do that because
I want to get I want to
think
get some things on aliens with you. I want to get into a
Yeah.
deep dive on aliens, but I don't want to do it now
I've
because
got
that'd be
stuff.
like I feel like it'd be another 2 hours, but
No, yeah, I've got stuff. I've got stuff to share.
all right.
Trust me.
Excellent. All right. Well, okay. So on cryptids and hauntings and things like that, is there anything else that you want to talk, like you want to say right now, or maybe what do you want to say to the people right now that might watch this and be like, "Oh, I don't believe any of this."
You have the luxury of disbelief.
Yeah, because it's not gonna change what you believe, right? I mean, that's the big thing about it.
Yeah, and just because someone doesn't believe something doesn't mean it isn't real.
Brandon, any follow-up questions for our guest, for our very first guest? And I think this has been a great experience, by the way.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself.
I don't know if I have any follow-up questions, but I had a great time, and I'm glad that we did this because I think there's just lots of really interesting things, an interesting conversation, and great to hear, Laura, everything you had to say and everything
Thank
you
you.
shared with us. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So, her TikTok name is Laurie Sullivan Knowles, spelled Knowls. She's been a field researcher in studying paranormal for the past 10 years. She just recently became a researcher in the North American Dogman Project. Laurie, I want to thank you for being on here. And it's been
Thank
really
you.
fun.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been
I've had a great
super
time.
fun. And I just want to tell everybody out there that it's been a fun episode, and that's how we're going to end it.